Hello boys and girls, welcome back to the Prymal Podcast. Just before Christmas, we finished 2020 with an absolutely stellar episode with Seán Kinane from Health Matters, where we discussed VO2 max testing, the different types of fitness, how to develop an understanding of how your body uses oxygen, and the best ways to train and practice to actually achieve your fitness goals. And the feedback from that episode was amazing. Loads of you seemed to really appreciate Seán's knowledge and his ability to break down some complex scientific principles into easy to digest explanations. But there's only one part of what Seán does when working with his clients. He's also a nutritional therapist, and he places a huge emphasis on understanding your metabolic function, or how your body actually uses the food you give it. Firstly, to create a healthy system overall, but also to maximize your performance and potential when it comes to getting bigger, faster, stronger, fitter, and recovering and adapting properly to your training. I know I said this before, but this information applies to everybody, because it doesn't matter if you're an elite marathon runner or a mom of 3 who wants to play with her children. Everyone will benefit from understanding how their bodies work and how to get the most out of their lifestyles. If you haven't heard my first episode with Seán, you should definitely check it out. It's number 16 on the list. But either way, this is another cracker. So no pads out and enjoy. Welcome to our shared journey to find the answers to questions about health, wellness, nutrition, performance, life and success, and to craft the most resilient, hardy and happy humans you've ever seen. Welcome to the Prymal Podcast. Mr. Seán Kinane, welcome back to the Prymal Podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks a million for coming back. I'm going to say through popular demand, but when we're recording this, we haven't actually released the first one yet. So by my demand, I've asked you to come back
We'll
again.
just roll with popular demand.
We roll with popular demand, absolutely. Let me again put some context on why we're going to have a second podcast together. When we did our first podcast, we talked a lot about VO2 max, aerobic versus anaerobic, exercise-based stuff. But before we had turned the mic on, I thought we were going to just talk about VO2 maxes.
As a number.
As a number, exactly. And then you came in and we had probably an hour and 40 minutes, well, maybe not an hour and 40 minutes before we turned the mics on, over conversation, and we touched on way more than just VO2 max. So we decided, let's split this up and do it in chunks. So in this particular episode, because we probably end up doing another one as well after this, but in this particular episode, let's touch on the nutritional therapy, the metabolic side of things, and see where we go with that. But for people who may not have listened to episode 1, would you mind just a little 10 or 15 minute second, just a little bit of context on what this area of your expertise looks like and where it came from?
Yeah, so I'm Seán Kinane from a company called Health Matters. I set the company up in 2011, having worked with this type of equipment over in Australia. So I carry out metabolic and VO2 testing. So as you said, we covered the VO2 stuff. I want to go into a bit more detail with you regarding the metabolic testing, because I'm working with it 10 years in Ireland and people still don't know it exists.
Okay.
I have a very big passion for the industry I work in. I've done over 10,000 tests. I'm the most active tester in Europe in what I do. And I really, really enjoy what I do and trying to help people achieve their goals, be it weight loss, weight gain, energy, nutritional therapy, which we'll touch on, sports performance. I'm constantly studying, constantly progressing my own knowledge, and hopefully help deliver that to people through this.
Super. And I will, just before we start, I will absolutely recommend, if you haven't listened to the first episode with Seán, go and listen to it now. It will help you understand a lot of the context of stuff we're talking about now as well. But let's just dive straight into this. When you talk about metabolic testing or this whole metabolic world, you mentioned to me that a lot of people don't even know this exists. I absolutely agree with you, because people think about metabolism as that typical, I have a fast metabolism, I have a slow metabolism.
No, I have a broke metabolism.
I have a broke metabolism. 90% of people, in my experience, that's the only connection of this word metabolism in their brain. That's what it means to them. But can you kind of blow the top off this first a little bit and give us a bit more depth onto what that means?
Right, so let's get what metabolism is. So metabolism is the sum of all energy required to sustain life.
Okay.
Basically, so if you didn't move an inch in a day for 24 hours, you're still going to burn calories. You're burning calories because there's millions and millions of chemical reactions occurring, and they all need energy. So RMR, BMR, basal or resting metabolic rate is the calories needed to sustain life in a 24-hour period.
Okay.
So people come into me to get a metabolic test done. So probably take a couple of steps back. A lot of times people speak about metabolism from a weight loss perspective. Yeah. And we know the kind of CI/CO method, calories in versus calories out. And we touched on it a bit last week that we know there's numerous different things that are going to be in play: sleep, stress, digestion. But theoretically, we know it's a mathematical equation. Energy in versus energy out is going to create either a deficit, a surplus, or a maintenance figure. So why someone would get a metabolic test done is to measure exactly how many calories they're getting rid of, rather than using, and probably going back to the VO2 talk that we had, people using generic formulas.
Yeah.
So I do a bit of lecturing, and one of the things that we do is when I do a lecture on metabolic testing, we would get a male and a female tested, but while the girl or the fella and the bloke are the girl and the fella are getting tested, I would ask the class to break into groups of 3 and work out the metabolic rates of each one of the clients based on the formulas they use.
Okay.
So there's lots of different formulas out there, and some of the formulas come back at 1,000 calories off.
Really?
Like 1,000 calories off is a lot.
That's significant, yeah.
It's a lot, you know. So the theory on metabolic testing and calorie expenditure. So in order for the human body to burn 1 calorie, you must consume 0.8 of a milliliter of oxygen.
Okay.
Okay, so we do a 14-minute gas analysis test called indirect kilometry, or the system is indirect kilometry, and it measures how much oxygen you use per kilo weight of your body, which will then determine your ORMR, your resting metabolic rate.
Okay.
So we have, within 15 minutes of you coming in to get a test done, we have your exact calorie expenditure as an ORMR rest. Okay, it's 98% accurate, give or take 30 calories.
And that test is done with just you're sitting still?
A complete state of rest, no change of clothes required, no exercise. It's a 4-hour fast, so coming in, having no food, tea, coffee, or any stimulants 4 hours prior to your test. So you're in a state of rest, you're sitting down. It's the nose will be blocked. It's not a mask, it's a mouthpiece and nose clip. So all the gas exchange is going to be measured through the mouth. So in and out, nice steady breaths, no irregular deep breathing patterns. I'll be in the room to make sure a baseline is established. And then we look at, and we'll leave you there. If you wanted to read a book, fine. Discourage standing up, swinging in the chair, even getting distracted. Some people when we do corporate work, bring their email in and want to do emails. Absolutely no way. So just completely relaxed. Now, before we start the test, we're going to weigh you. We're going to get your height. So weight's really important. People come in and go, okay, what weight are you? Oh, I'm 70 kilos. I'm like, okay, well, when did you last weigh yourself? No, I don't know. Like, when? Did you last weigh yourself in the last 24 hours? No. Okay, we're doing it. And then they're going up to 73 or 74 kilos. Yeah. But the point on my accuracy request on the weight is because of the requirement, it's 0.8 of a milliliter of oxygen per kilo weight of body mass, which will then determine this number. Before we get the test started, I'll go through your lifestyle, your steps, your job, your commute to work. Do you take the stairs instead of lift? How often you're exercising? What's the intensity? Do you have kids? Do you have a dog? You know, and people are looking at me all these questions, because what we do is based off your ORMR, we will use a algorithm, and I know I've been criticizing algorithms, but it's based off your numbers, this one, to work out your lifestyle and activity calories.
Okay.
So we get your ORMR. We'll get your lifestyle activity, and it even gives a prediction on exercise. Now, it states on the printout that it's exercise considered a brisk walk for 30 minutes. When you do metabolic testing with VO2 testing, we have exact calorie expenditure when you exercise. So that's where the two tests meet. So we have metabolic measurement in a state of rest, lifestyle activity, and exercise. So now we have a complete handle on calorie expenditure.
Yeah.
So if we know how many calories you're getting rid of, we know how many calories you need to bring in order to achieve whatever your goal. If your goal is weight loss, we need a deficit. If your goal is weight gain, depending on what weight we're looking for, we need adequate protein, we need a calorie surplus, hopefully, or slightly just under overall expenditure. And we look at different ways, muscle stimulation, everything, if it's muscle weight. But a lot of times people are coming in from a weight loss perspective.
Okay. And
they've used a generic formula that says, okay, I'm eating 1,800 calories, and I'm not dropping any weight.
Yeah.
And then I measure the ORMR is 1430.
Okay.
So we know that their calorie input is keeping them in maintenance. Now people go, but I'm moving, but I'm walking, but I'm exercising. Your lifestyle, your activity, they're variables. Your exercise intensity, your exercise quantity in a week, they're variables that will change. And they're out of our control sometimes. Like I planned, like last year, for instance, I said my aim was to do 200 training sessions in the year. I documented every one of them. I did 225. This year I wanted to beat it. I didn't know COVID was coming.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now I didn't beat it. Or if I have a busy day where I can't train, or if I didn't drop the kids to school, or if I didn't have to take the stairs as often as I would, or if I had to do a day where I'm sitting down doing a podcast for a few hours, my steps aren't going to be as high. So the variables associated with calorie expenditure, with lifestyle, activity and exercise shouldn't really be taken into That's wrong. I shouldn't say shouldn't be taken into consideration. But what we have to figure out is our baseline.
Okay.
So what is always going to expel? If I don't move an inch in a day, I'm going to get rid of this. So that's going to be my focus. I need to start to aim my calories based at my RMR. And then we can look at bringing some more back in, depending on intensity of exercise, how many steps you took, did you walk the dog twice, did you have 3 kids where you're out in the park with them? Like, we look at the variables then in a bit more detail. But we need to get that RMR right. So once we get that right, we can then implement a plan based on calories or macros or whatever way you want to do it, hopefully to help you achieve your goal.
Okay.
Now, people come in to me and that's the opening line, I have a slow metabolism.
Yeah.
I'm looking at them going, well, you probably don't. And one of the things you have to take into consideration, the bigger the person, the bigger the metabolism, because they require more energy to stay alive. So you get someone that's 100 kilos and says, oh, my metabolic rate's broken. That person that's 100 kilos is going to require significantly more calories than I require to stay alive. That's, as an example, why males have higher metabolism than females, generally because they weigh more, but it's body composition. Like, muscle weighs the same as fat, as the same as concrete in terms of a pound or a kilo, but a pound of muscle will burn 3 times more calories than a pound of fat, because it requires 3 times more oxygen to survive.
Yeah.
Now, I've probably gone into a load of different points there.
No, you're consistent.
Let's look at it from a perspective on that weight. Let's go back a few steps. The weight is the big one. So the bigger you are, the more energy you expel. Now, don't get me wrong. There is times where people come in and their metabolic rate is low. So you'll get what we get when we test you. We will grade your metabolism as a percentage. Is it positive or is it negative in relation to your age, height, weight, and gender? So you're looking at, most times there's going to be, I'd be happy with like a 7 to 8% swing. So if you came in, your metabolic rate was 8% negative, for instance, I wouldn't be overly concerned.
Yeah.
We can change it and we'll go through ways about doing that. If you came in and your metabolic rate was 30% negative, I'd be like, okay, we might need to start to look at thyroid function here. We need to get some blood analysis done. But that opening statement, oh, my metabolic rate's broken, it's not true.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not true 97% of the time.
Yeah.
So it's just the value, understanding input, identifying what a calorie is, speaking to them about macro breakdown, talk about hidden calories, and we'll go through it all.
Yeah.
You know,
this is for people who may be listening saying, oh, calories in, calories out again. This is a really contentious point sometimes, but what I'm going to describe this in this conversation is the starting line. This is the starting line, because calories in, calories out is your foundation for change of body composition. But it is the foundation. Where people start to get a little bit antsy about this is, he's not talking about macro and micronutrients. He's not talking about hormone function. He's talking about all the other things that are important for weight loss and weight gain and performance and all that. You're gonna talk about all that as well, because that's a massive part of the race as opposed to this is just the start line. But that's an excellent description of RMR and the kind of the starting point for, you need to understand this basic requirement. What type of fuel do you need? What numbers do you need for you? Because it's going to be different from everybody else. And if I'm a 100 kilo bodybuilder and you're 100 kilos but you sit in the couch all the time, the chances are we're also going to have different requirements.
or even look at it from a perspective of 2 friends.
Yeah.
Okay. Call them what you want. Let's use Mary and Sheila again.
Poor Mary, she's getting a roasting.
Right, so they roughly weigh the same, maybe, or there's a slight difference in weight. So straight away, there's going to be a difference in overall calorie expenditure in a state at rest.
Yeah.
Then you have Mary, who drives to work, gets out of her car, goes in, sits at her desk, gets back in the car, drives home. Sheila gets the bus, so she has to walk to the bus stop. Then the bus is full, she's going to stand. She's going to get off early. She's going to walk. She's going to take the stairs instead of lift. She does exercise. She goes walking a bit more. So her overall expenditure goes up and up and up and up. That's why Sheila drops weight.
Yeah.
That's why Sheila maintains weight. Mary doesn't maintain weight. They might eat the same, but Sheila's getting rid of more calories. Like, I love the point that Owen Lacey said on one of the podcasts. I think he might have even said it to me when we done a live Instagram. He's like the Krebs cycle doesn't know what a calorie is. It's a man-made measurement of energy.
Yeah.
So maybe if we look at a calorie, it's just a unit of energy. All macronutrients have calories in them. So we're looking at understanding what we're putting into our body on a day-to-day basis, looking at the calorie breakdown or the macro breakdown, and understanding why we're creating why we're not achieving weight loss. So a lot of times people will come into me and they'll say, oh, I just can't lose weight.
Yeah.
I'm like, but you're not gaining weight. Is that correct? That's correct. So we know that calories in are matching calories out. So we need to tip the scales the other way by creating a deficit by, do we need to move a bit more? Do we need to look at, is the sour cream sauce added to our potatoes going to be worth the extra 200 to 300 calories as well? There's buttercream and milk already made in the mashed potatoes, so it's just about understanding and identifying the calories. Now, what it's also used, and one thing that's recently, because we do a lot of corporate work, is people that physically don't have enough energy. So if you get a measurement done, your metabolic rate's really, really high, and then you say to me, I just no energy, Seán. Well, how many times are you eating a day? I get a breakfast, definitely don't get a lunch in work because I'm too stressed. Get home, gobble my meal on the go. So you're probably having about 1,200 calories. Your weight could be dropping or could be just stable, maybe a light female in terms of weight, but she doesn't have enough energy because she's not putting enough food back into her body compared to what she's expelling. So we can get a handle on calorie expenditure from an energy perspective. And then for those that are looking to gain weight, mostly looking at a young bloke coming in, want to gain muscle. As we spoke about previously, it's not something that you just turn a light on and say, I'm going to gain muscle. But a lot of times they simply don't eat enough. So when someone wants to gain size, they tend to be eating really clean, chicken breast, spinach, just chicken and veg. There's not a lot of calories in them. So they neglect the calorie side of things. So you're like, look, you need to eat 4,000 calories a day. They're like, well, I'm only eating 2,000. I'm like, yeah, so let's look at implementing, bringing in avocado, nuts, seeds, eating more of this, where we can get it in, chia seeds on our salads. Are we going to use a good oil? Are we going to have some crushed nuts in a smoothie? Are we going to use the likes of Udos oil? So looking at bringing in calories from a gain perspective. And again, it's all coming back to, and as you mentioned, this is the start line, but it's your foundation. Yeah. So you can't build a house without a foundation. So we look and make sure that, and I would have said that in regards to aerobic training, but we have to understand the physiological makeup of you as an individual, not comparing yourself to your friend, your sister, your brother. And when we have a handle on them baseline numbers, we then can create a plan for you. So the testing is based, I've done this testing for 10 years. People still don't know it's available. It's a very, very simple test, and it's gold standard. It's 98% accurate. So it's very, very achievable or very attainable to get done.
Yeah. You said something there which must have heard hundreds and hundreds of times, and it's this: I'm not losing weight. I'm doing this. I'm dieting, and it's usually I'm dieting, but I'm not losing weight. I'm going to see my PT, but I'm not losing weight. And this is not. I'm not trying to smear any sort of weight loss facilities or anything like that here. But when you go to these facilities and you're working with somebody, do they generally, you train these people, do they generally use these formulas to calculate this number for a person? And is that usually the reason you see why people aren't losing that weight? Because they've gone, because I know loads of people who've gone, they're doing training, and they seem to be working quite hard, but they're doing their training and they're on their diet and they're in a calorie deficit. They're not eating anything. Their energy is low, like you've described there, and they're not losing any weight. Why is this RMR not being used in all these situations? Because it seems like it could be the answer. Not the answer, but it could be very helpful data.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
it's probably just these formulas that are being used.
It is, but I also think inaccuracy in tracking.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things I see is inaccuracy in tracking, or the weekend warrior.
Okay, yeah.
Let's use some simple maths. Monday to Thursday, 500 calorie deficit. So 2,000 calories coming in Friday morning, on goal to drop half a kilo a week. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 700 calorie surplus, 2,100. So you're in a 100 calorie surplus at the end of the week.
Yeah.
At the end of the year, in a 5,200 calorie surplus, which is a couple of kilos. Now, people don't realise this happens. People don't realise the week is only 7 days long. So for 42% of your week, you're just giving it up.
Yeah. So
what you need to do is start to claw back percentages.
Okay.
14% a day. Take it back. So don't lose the plot Friday. So Friday lunch, Friday morning's normally okay. Friday lunch now maybe different now because of COVID, but out with the lads for lunch.
Yeah.
Okay. You might get a slap up meal, crisps on the side, might get chips, burger. All of a sudden you're already in a calorie surplus by lunchtime. It's always someone's birthday, donuts around, crisps around, go home, couple of beers, and then you're under the impression, sure, look, I've done one day, I might as well keep going.
Yeah.
Now the inaccuracy in tracking is something that's major. Oils, sauces, butters. I've had not fights with people, but I've had people get very annoyed with my black and white approach of, okay, you're in a calorie surplus. No, I'm not. I'm in a deficit. But you're not losing weight. Yeah, but I'm in a deficit. You're not in a deficit. The recent one, a girl told me she was eating 800 calories a day. And I mean adamant she was eating 800 calories a day. She wasn't eating 800 calories a day because she was having 4 bulletproof coffees with coconut oil in them. It's 250 calories in a bulletproof coffee. She's having 4 of them a day.
She wasn't counting that.
No, that's 1,000 calories. So she was having 1,800 calories. Light bulb moment, reduced it, weight came off.
Yeah.
Oil, sauce and butter. So the likes of how we cook our food. Carbohydrates, we tend to have massive amounts of oil, sauces and butters with them. Making mashed potatoes, as I mentioned, the likes of cream, milk, butter, roast potatoes, oil, more butter, sauces. And people don't think it because liquid calories don't make us full.
Yeah.
So any accuracy of tracking on them as well.
Okay.
Understanding kind of your blood sugar imbalancing. So getting up in the morning, having a poor quality start to your day, maybe coffee and a breakfast cereal, which is going to increase your blood sugar. Then your hormone insulin is going to be released, which is going to drop your blood sugar, which is going to create cortisol, which is going to increase cravings, mood swings, brain fog. And what are them cravings going to be? They're going to be poor quality food. So accountability is very, very important in this journey. Your metabolism isn't broken.
Yeah.
You're just putting the wrong fuel into your body. And we can look at the kind of digestive impact and stuff when we start to look at the nutritional therapy, but get back to the start line, get back to the foundation. The foundation has to be right, and that's going to be energy requirement or energy demand or energy expenditure, and looking at your overall input on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, yeah. And what about the other, let's take this lady who's on 800 calories a day. Now, let's imagine she's not having the bulletproof coffees and she's still on 800 calories a day, but she's still not dropping weight. Are there other elements?
No, she's not.
She's not.
She's eating something else. Now, there is other elements, okay? But I love this. I heard recently, and don't quote me on it because I don't know anything about celebrities, but some girl was being interviewed and she said she lost so much weight in the jungle in I'm a Celebrity.
Yeah.
She wasn't being fed.
Yeah.
But she previously has like weight loss DVDs and something, and she never changes shape or she never drops weight. She says she's never been able to drop weight because she's putting too much fuel into her body.
Yeah.
Like, in order to create weight, there has to be an energy surplus. Yes, there's going to be many contributing factors, but it's about understanding. Like, if calories didn't matter, as an example, there'd be no people stick skinny that are dying of malnutrition and starvation. You know what I mean? Like, I can't drop weight because I'm not eating enough. What? You're definitely eating enough. You're either not tracking, you're forgetting you're eating out of habit, or use me as an example. I eat the kids' dinners when they're not eating them. I taste the kids' dinners. When I'm making the dinner, I taste it. So you're tracking all of this, and there's just so much, or not understanding how much calories are in, like a tablespoon of olive oil, 122 calories. You're not just going to use 1 tablespoon of olive oil.
Yeah.
You know, so are you having 500 calories in oil that you didn't even think about?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like it's really has to be clarity on exactly what you eat.
So in a practical sense, when you talk about counting calories, I'm allergic to it right now. I'm lucky enough that I've never really been in a position where I need to lose weight, or I've had a health issue related to weight. But I have been, and I'm constantly in, like probably most lads listening, in a situation where I want to gain muscle for whatever, for sporting performance. Some guys it's for aesthetics, whatever. And it's the same kind of theory, just the opposite way. We're not talking about weight loss, we're talking about weight gain. So you still have to understand calories in, calories out. You have to track what you're eating. Now, we'll get into the understanding the quality of the food that you're eating and the micronutrient side of things, because that's massively important. But from a number tracking point of view, it is a pain in the ass. And I've been allergic to it my entire life. And I've understood, like we talked in the last, I've understood now the importance of testing and understanding the data to actually be able to achieve a goal, because I was the guy who just tried everything and nothing's really working. I trained everything. I'm not really improving until I started testing. But from a food point of view, when you talk about tracking calories, you enter into an arena where people get really annoyed and upset. And some people are justified, because you're in the realm then of becoming obsessed with numbers and eating disorders and thinking about the number of qualities and writing down every single thing you eat. So how do you manage that with clients, and how does that conversation come up when you talk about, like, you're obviously very, very adamant on the importance of understanding your energy in and your energy out. And that's a number. You need to know what that number is, and you start off by understanding your resting metabolic rate. So how does that conversation play out in your world?
My goal to get people to track is to get people to understand what they're eating.
Okay. That's
my whole goal. Like, if I say to someone, all right, what did you eat last week? Well, I don't know. I mean, how many chocolate bars did you have? Don't know. How many biscuits did you have? Don't know. How many bits of broccoli did you have? I definitely don't know. Yeah. So what they do is they start to get an education. So it's empowering the client to take control of their own life. I don't need them to do this endlessly.
Yeah.
I need someone to say, okay, and I always ask people, give me 6 weeks. We generally do the same thing over a 2-week period anyway. All right. So realistically, you need to tune into it for a solid 2-week commitment. And then we repeat what we eat.
Yeah.
But then complacency comes in. You're like, nah, that's 30 grams when it's really 50.
Yeah.
You know, so complacency is a different thing. Consistent adherence, but it's education, and it scares the bejesus out of people because they don't realize that they eat what they eat.
Yeah.
You know, and it's accountability. We need to critically evaluate, and we don't do it enough. Use the example of, I've tried every trick in the book to gain weight, but I can't do it. All right, well, step out of being Dan.
Yeah.
Overview what's stopping Dan from getting there. So you don't have answers for yourself. You came to me, I'd say, okay, do this. Jay's never thought of that. You know, see, we're too, I don't think we're critical enough on ourselves.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, weight loss is simple, but it's not easy.
I 100% agree with you.
It's not easy because there's adherence, you know, and accountability and
Yeah.
everything that goes with it. But it answering your question, it gives the client an education and an empowerment to achieve success long term without me.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I'm looking for. I don't want Mary to be tracking calories when she's 60.
Yeah.
I don't track calories.
Yeah.
You
don't track calories?
I have never.
How do you know what's going in and what's going out then?
Because I don't have a goal in terms of body composition change at the moment.
This was my next question. For the average person listening who just wants to be healthy, because when people hear this, when they hear, and I was the exact same, and I'm still a little bit in the back of my head now thinking the exact same thing. When you hear about this, tracking calories in, calories out, everyone goes to the documentary they saw about measuring the cup of rice and how many, and for most people who are really into this, they like that. But for most people, they look at that and they go, Jesus Christ, the thought of having to measure and getting obsessed, and they go, for fuck's sake, I'm not getting obsessed with my food and counting the amount of raisins I eat and how many grains I write. That's where they go immediately. And that's where I go sometimes as well. So you're not saying if you're on a weight loss or weight gain journey, you need to know this stuff. But for the average person who just wants to maintain a healthy lifestyle and wants to make sure they don't go into a calorie surplus.
Absolutely no way.
Okay.
No way.
So how do they know?
In terms of calories, they know because they're
not gaining or losing weight.
They're not gaining or losing weight.
Okay.
Their clothes fit them consistently.
Okay.
Their bowel movements are regular. Their energy good. Their sleep is good. You know, so what is your goal? Like how, for me, for food, from a perspective is I look at my day and go, okay, I need to get as much good quality food in, as much fruit and vegetables a day with adequate protein with all main meals. Is the food, was it grown a tree? The grow on the ground, was it alive? I'll try and eat as much real product, decrease the quantity of processed products. Like if you were to say to someone, okay, I don't want you to track calories, all I want you to do is eat real food, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
Because your big calories are going to come in with your processed food.
Yeah.
You know, so if somebody was then again to critically evaluate and go, I'm not counting calories, how many times a week do you have jarred sauces to make your food?
Yeah.
How many times a week do you have bread that has 50 ingredients in it? You know, like you look at McCambridge bread compared to a different brand bread. You know, like you try and get the product as natural as it possibly can. Try and get away from your jarred. Tin food can be okay. Like a tin fish, mackerel, stuff like sardines. They're fine because they're natural. Like they're just the product with maybe a small bit of preservative in it. But you go and look at the back of a famous bolognese sauce. You can't even pronounce half the ingredients in it. Look at the sugar, look at the fat. So get your food back down to the basics.
Yeah.
Adequate protein, so protein of first importance with all main meals. It's going to help control that blood sugar imbalancing. Look at veg, look at fruit, look at the grains, the good carbohydrates, and then you can look at the smaller things, the oils, the sauces. But a standard meal, spaghetti bolognese, bundle loads of pasta with a processed sauce, with garlic bread.
Yeah.
You know,
sounds
carb heavy, carb heavy, carb heavy. But if we flip the plate around then and go, our protein sources are first importance, then we address our veg or our salads, and then we bring in the carbohydrate sources.
Yeah.
Like you're never going to have someone that's going to be able to eat 800 calories of broccoli.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're going to get full on eating higher quality vegetables, bigger dosage of them, better quality protein, keeps you fuller for longer, takes twice as long to digest, you burn more calories digesting it. And we need to look at our food a bit more and be accountable.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what it probably comes down to. A lot of times we eat our habits. So like I read a book, The Power of Habit, really, really interesting
very
book.
good book. Very good
And
book,
they spoke about the fella at 4 o'clock every day that went and got a cookie.
Yeah.
But what it turned out was he just needed social interaction.
Yeah.
So are we eating out of habit? yes, we are eating a habit. Most times, get the kids down. What do you do? And I hear it often. I can't just have one biscuit. I eat the pack.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, don't bring the pack into the
Yeah.
house. And I get criticized for how black and white I am about it. I would never encourage someone to go cold turkey, but make better bad choices.
Yeah.
So if you know...
Better bad choices, I like that, yeah.
So what my weakness would be crisps. Okay, and I could list brands off here till the cows come home. King.
Jeez, wait, this podcast is over. Thanks very much, Seán Kinane, for coming in.
But the likes of Treble Crunch, Meanies, Skips are less than 100 calories. Hunky Dories are 230. Saved 130 calories in a pack of crisps.
You are going to be people's favourite nutrition advisor now.
Okay, but look at it in that spend. Or recently, I was talking to Stephen Tierney. He loves it. We laugh about a pack of Chewits. There's 100 calories in it. A pack of Chewits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's better bad choices out there. So you need to evaluate. Okay, well, what is your weakness? What is your go-to, and how you can change it? Okay. Or the likes of you're going out Saturday night, get up a bit later, or go into that state of where I'm not going to have a breakfast, I'm going to have a brunch, I'm going to have a slightly bigger. So your overall input throughout the day is managed, Or if you have a load of events coming up, just accept you're not going to lose weight that time. You're going to go out, you're going to have a better balance with your friends, your family, your mental health is going to be better. You're going to go out and have a good time and just be happy in that moment. Everything isn't about weight, and you have to realize that as well. And one bad day ain't going to break the camel's back. So one bad day, get back on the wagon. Prep your food, batch cook, know what you're cooking, know when you're cooking. The dinner the night before can be the lunch the next day, make a bigger portion. But accountability is so important. We arm you with these numbers. You then go implement them into your life.
Yeah, yeah. And you're dead right, and I like that answer. You're dead right with the empowerment side of things, because what helped me with my example I gave of being terrified of the numbers, and what helps loads of people, Joycey, which is what you've just explained, I now understand the importance of it. And it's no longer to get freaked out about how many grains of rice are in the cup. Now I have a general idea from understanding energy in, energy out, quality of food, all that kind of stuff, what my week generally should look like. And if I stick to that, I'm going to be in this. And if I want to change that, I need to add a little bit more good quality food. If I want to change it the other way, I need to take away a little bit more good quality food, but be aware of the mineral deficiencies and all that kind of stuff. So that's given me back more confidence in tracking my food, and I'm still not counting numbers.
And then with the tracking again is you get to realise that 5 cashew nuts is 100 calories.
Yeah.
So fat as a macronutrient, 9 calories per gram. Avocado's a bit of a buzz at the moment. People are smashing 2-3 avocados a day, you know what I mean? And they're getting massive amount of calories in from them. So it's that education. Yeah. We don't need it long term. I don't do it. I could tell you roughly how many calories I eat a day though, just because of my job and my knowledge and my understanding of what I'm eating. But how I try to bulk my food up with vegetables all the time, salads, But I also think a really important point is, if you don't like it, don't eat it. Use avocado as an example. I hate avocado, so I don't eat it. Yeah. I don't like spinach. I don't eat it. So if someone's like getting sick at the thoughts of having spinach with their lunch because Seán spoke about bringing in higher quality greens, don't do it. Find what works for you. Yeah. If you find you only eat broccoli and carrots, there are vegetables. Then we look at what fruits you're going to eat, how you're going to implement them. Can we try it? What's your fish intake like? Are we going to be able to bring it in? What's our protein sources like? Do you class a slice of processed ham on your sandwich protein, or do you cook a joint of bacon at the start of the week and make your sandwiches out of it? So then you're fuller for longer because the protein, you're getting more in. So there's a deep requirement to understand nutrition to be successful in weight loss. Yeah. I like that one.
That's going to be the little soundbite we take from this podcast.
But there is, and again, and I know I keep repeating it, but personal accountability has to be. You have to take control of this. We as professionals will help you on the journey, but I know when people walk out my office, they're not going to do what I ask them to do. Yeah. And I know that from reading people for 10 years, or saying it's too difficult, or giving me examples of why it's too difficult, but making that extra portion, planning ahead, understanding your food, getting away from your jarred sauces. Where can you save calories? Look at it. And a lot of the times you don't change your life drastically by just reducing calories. Yeah. It's increasing the quality of the food to achieve a goal that's going to make you happier, but it's also going to make you healthier. And I think, and it's a bit of a taboo subject at the moment, people call it fat shaming and X, Y, and Z, but we know the heavier you are, the less healthy you're going to be long term.
Yeah.
The higher chance you're going to have of developing serious illness. And people don't like to admit that, or people don't want to talk about that. I'll talk about it all day.
Yeah.
You know, if you drop weight and you get down, and I'm not a massive fan of BMI because of it doesn't take body composition into play, but if you reduce your weight, if you know you're carrying weight, it's going to have an impact on your health. It's going to have an impact on many, many different aspects of your life.
Yeah.
So don't look at it as, oh, you're only fat shaming. You're not. You're making a better choice to provide a healthier future for you and your family.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And you mentioned that, you know, people when they leave are not going to follow the advice. That's why conversations like this I find very, very important, because someone might be with you for half an hour, but they can listen to you speak on your Instagram lives, on your podcast. They can listen to guys like Owen Lacey and Robbie Bennett. They can listen to constant conversation from people who understand this, and it starts to sink in and starts to permeate society, and people are now talking about this. I had a conversation about a month ago with somebody who commented on the amount of PTs, personal trainers, who we unfairly gave a bit of a slap with a stick earlier on, I did, are now becoming much more aware that there's a whole other world of stuff that they're introducing their clients to, which is brilliant. People are having these conversations around their dinner tables, which is brilliant. So this stuff is really important, and I think this is what will help your clients adhere a lot more to the stuff that you're talking about, because you're not just there in the consultation. Now you're on this podcast and on this Instagram live, and you're constantly there, and they follow you and they buy into you, and then they start to understand, and then they're empowered because they're following
It's
you.
not about buying into me.
Well, it's buying into the information.
Yeah, but
knowledge.
it's about buying in for themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and one of the big issues, I think, is who you surround yourself with. It's vitally important that you explain that the journey that you're about to enter or go on is critical, that they're on board with you. Use a husband and wife as an example.
Yeah.
Like and I had it last Saturday, I was working with a husband and wife, and I know the husband, and I said, like, it's critical that you get on board with her in order for her to achieve this goal. If you have 15 snacks bars a day and 3 wagon wheels, don't eat them in front of her.
Yeah.
If you love large packs of hunky-dories, only eat a pack of snacks in front of her. Because if you're bringing this food in and you're not on this journey with her, or you give out that the sauce isn't as creamy as it used to be, sure, how does anyone have a hope of getting it?
Yeah.
Speak to your friends, speak to your family, and don't be ashamed to say, I need your help on this. Because if you get people on board with you, everything becomes a lot easier.
Yeah.
And there's more encouragement. You might go out walking as a family just to get an extra 200 calories out. So the expenditure of calories during exercise we spoke about last time is very, very minimal. The success that you're going to achieve on weight loss, weight gain, energy is going to be the input of food throughout the day, your sleep quality, your digestion, your stress.
Yeah.
You know, there's just so many implications, and there's so many hurdles, and so many times we can just easily fall off this wagon and give in just a bit too easy. But just keep going.
Yeah, yeah. We're bleeding into nutritional therapy here now. Just before we
No,
go there,
let's stay away from it. There's a couple of things I want to say about
okay,
this.
perfect. I'm going to let you say yours. I'm going to ask you just to go. There's things coming into my head here. There are common questions you hear people ask all the time about this kind of stuff. One, RDAs, 2,500 calories for a man. What is it, 1,800 for a woman? 2,000 for a woman?
1,500, I think.
That's just a random number. That's an average of a fucking whatever.
But what is an average male? What is an average female?
100%, yeah. So when people ask this question, they already know the answer, but it's everywhere. It's on the back of every single piece of food they pick up, recommended daily allowance. So it's very hard for someone to separate themselves, even though they've heard you say it and me say it and countless other people in the industry.
But remember, RDAs are going to be based for someone that just is in maintenance. RDAs aren't based for weight loss. RDAs aren't based for weight gain.
Yeah.
RDAs are just general function.
But even maintenance, like 2,500.
Oh, yeah.
Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, what height are you?
I'll
What
put it
weight
this
are
way.
you? What's your body composition?
Yeah. I laugh all the time because I ride motorbikes, right? And when you get a motorbike, the suspension on a motorbike, it's completely different from a car. It's because it's one person riding this thing. It's set up when you get it out of the shop, right? And I remember going, I weigh about 96 kilos at the moment. Average walking around 94 to 96 kilos. And I remember riding these bikes thinking, these things are shite. Why do they feel so bad? And I looked up in every single brochure, it says the bike has been set up for the average rider, 62 kilograms. And I'm like, that makes no sense to me because like most of me and my friends.
Yeah, but I don't know any.
who's 62 and then I'm thinking people who race motorbikes, they're like jockeys, they're very small, very light. So that's what they're, but that's an average male now for motorbikes. That's a really niche story. But for me, it really implanted the same thing. Averages the average person, who the fuck is the average person? Like, nobody's the average person. Me and you are completely different in many, many different ways, and we're the same in some ways, but we have massively different requirements from everything in life because we're unique people.
Yeah.
So an RDA on every single pack of food you eat, 2,500 calories.
So look at the RDAs on the likes of vitamins.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
That's a whole different
You need
avenue
1 million milligrams of vitamin C. So what?
Just to starve off illness, or to prevent illness.
So all that is not something that people should be basing anything off, really.
No, keep yourself individualized, unique. Don't compare yourself to your friends, your sister, your mother. Like, there's pre-exposed genetics to family, but friend comparison is a massive fail. It would be a massive reason people fail.
Yeah.
Because they get annoyed. But critically evaluate your movement, your input. What's the difference? What can be done?
Yeah.
Or weight loss envy, or whatever way you want to call it.
Well, you said this the last time, with aerobic conditioning or training. Like, if you're running with John, John might be completely different from you in terms of his ability to train and use oxygen and to improve. You might be running at 110% of what you're able to, and he's running at 90%. So it's the same kind of theory here. It's individualized.
Even use, again, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, if the portions are the same.
Yeah.
Like, male have higher expenditure of calories. The male could be more active. It's always thinking about accountability. And even I have it with my kids now. I do not track anything from my kids, But like, sometimes the other day I did look at my daughter's two tiny little thing, and she just puts food away.
Yeah.
Like, she has my palate.
Yeah.
Now she eats, her favorite thing to eat is chicken breast chopped up with peppers. So
deadly.
Yeah, she eats, and she loves crisps like me. And she loves snacks. Tato.
Okay. Tato, yeah, all right, we're back on track.
Her favourite's Hunky Dories. So it's about I was like, I wonder how much calories she's putting in, but then I look at her and she just tears around all day.
Yeah.
Gets 12 hours sleep, although very broken. But I'm looking at the requirements. How much food are they actually eating? And then I very, very quickly understand why kids gain weight when their lifestyle completely changes.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe we'll go into that in a second, because I just want to say, let's go into it.
Oh, no, whatever. Yeah, I'll say let's go into it in a sec, because I know there's a few bits you want to say, and I have one more question.
Okay, go for the question then.
It's just another one of these random questions you constantly hear from people, and it's a really contentious point. A calorie is a calorie, right? So if I'm getting 1,000, if my requirement is 1,000 calories for the day, and I'm eating McDonald's all day, it's still 1,000 calories. Or if I'm eating fruit and veg and high quality meat all day, it's still 1,000 calories. So and this is what people, I'm not saying this now, I'm leading the question here, but people will say, if I'm eating 1,000 calories, you've just said 1,000 calories is 1,000 calories. So I'm getting it from McDonald's.
From a very straight up measurement perspective, it's correct.
Because it's a unit of energy.
Yeah. It's in and out. Okay. However, if you ate 2,000 calories from McDonald's and I ate 2,000 calories from chicken and broccoli, I'm going to be so much betterly nourished than you are. You'll be severely malnourished very, very quickly. I did a recent interview with Carl McCulloch, who ate a Big Mac every day for 30 days and wanted to get a six-pack. And he got a six-pack because he allowed for 580 calories a day from a Big Mac within his calorie range. But he broke out in spots, his energy was poor, his digestion was poor, his stomach was paining him, this type of thing.
Okay. And did he do anything surrounding that, like supplement with high quality nutrition or anything like that?
No.
He just replaced the calories.
Yeah, it was just a calorie challenge. So
okay.
That's
interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's a really interesting one. So yes and no. If you wanted to have 200 calories a day from chocolate as part of your 1,650 calories a day requirement to drop weight, I'm okay with that. Okay, but people have to understand, the better the quality of the food, the better hormonal response you're going to get. So let's say you take in, what do you want to have? A white bread sandwich with loads of mayonnaise and a slice of ham, compared to a high quality brown bread sandwich, real butter, lump of chicken fillet gone into it. You're going to be fuller for longer. You're going to get better nutrients from the higher quality food. Your hormonal response that's going to create your satiety hormones or your hunger hormones, leptin, ghrelin, they're all going to be out of whack when you start to take in poor quality food. You're going to be hungrier quicker. You're going to crave sugary, salty food quicker. So the repeat and circle, you're going to overall consume more calories because the balance on society isn't going to be there. You're going to want more poor quality food quicker if you eat poor quality calories.
Yeah.
Does that answer that?
It does answer that, yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, it does. And I'll elaborate on it a little bit as well, because that argument is dying out because people are starting to understand more about what you just said there. And we're actually going to talk about a lot of why that's important now with nutritional therapy and the actual food side of things.
Before we go into that, just one of the things I did want to talk about for people to understand it's a bit out there now at the moment, metabolic adaptation. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is something that I think people struggle to understand. So let's take somebody that weighs 80 kilos. Okay. They come to me, we measure them, we get or they don't necessarily come to me, but they get a success on a weight loss journey and they reduce weight and they eat the same. And then all of a sudden the weight loss stops. And they're like, why is the weight loss stop? I'm eating the exact same. And then they get pissed off. And then they go eating what they used to eat. And they put on double the weight in half the time.
Okay.
And they're like, what is going on here? So think about it very, very simply. When you reduce body weight, you reduce your overall caloric expenditure. So let's use a simple number. You get rid of 2,000 calories today at 80 kilos. You get down to 75 kilos. You might be only burning 1,750 at that point. So the weight loss caloric input is no longer a caloric input because now it's maintenance.
Yeah.
And then when you go back to eat what you used to eat, you create a much bigger surplus quicker. So you put the weight on.
Because you're physically lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the way to look at it, and I always love to talk about it as a car. If you drive a 3-litre Mustang and downgrade it to a 2-litre Ford Focus, you're going to burn less petrol.
Yeah.
So you're burning less energy. So you have to put less energy in order for you to keep being successful with if it's loss. And then there's going to be a point, obviously, where we get to, you've achieved your goal, your energy's good. Then we look at maintenance calories, Okay. So that's why people would retest metabolic testing.
Yeah, because it changes.
Yeah, so if you have someone that has a low metabolism, and a question that people are going to ask, what's the best way to boost metabolism? Don't go out of your way to add chilies to everything you eat or cinnamon. Yeah. There is a thermogenic effect on it. But the single most effective way to boost metabolism is change body composition. So start weight training.
Yeah. And actually a very important point for females as well, because this is an age-old argument. Again, it's changing a bit because people become more educated. But I don't want to weight train. I don't want to gain muscle because I'll be big and muscly. And I can't remember who it was, but someone said this years ago to me, and I laughed because now it's a common thing to say, and I'm sure you've heard this as well before, is do you have any idea how hard it is to put on that level of muscle? But what you are going to do is you're going to change your body composition, develop a little bit more lean muscle, and then you're going to have a higher oxygen requirement, which means your resting metabolic rate's going to go up as well. So that's going to change your number. So it's actually very, very, apart from all the other benefits of gaining lean muscle, which I'm sure we can talk about.
I haven't personal trained in over 10 years.
Yeah.
But when I was personal training, my biggest success stories with weight loss, female clients that never weight trained.
Because what do? They go an hour of cardio on the treadmill, or they go
and burn very, very little calories. They go home, their metabolic rate is in a state of rest.
Yeah.
You go in and weight train, you're going to burn more calories. I think 8, 9, 10 hours later on the studies, your metabolic rate is still temporarily higher.
That afterburn effect, so
that's real.
It is real, because again, it's constantly being debunked. There's no afterburn effect, but people are talking about it in terms of HIIT classes.
Yeah.
High-end, and you discussed this in detail last week, the different fuels you're using. In a lot of HIIT classes, you're anaerobic.
Now, the HIIT training won't create as much of an afterburn, so to speak.
This is what I mean.
So weight training is going to create a lot more. So if you look at break your body down into bodies, like people go in and go, okay, I'll go in and do a tricep kickback, or I'll do a bicep curl. Like the muscle is so small.
Yeah.
Let's look at big muscles, back, chest, legs.
Yeah.
Go
Squats,
in.
deadlift, bench.
Yeah. And the whole persona, and I don't mean to be saying it about females all the time, but it's an egotistic thing. I think gyms can be intimidating, absolutely.
100%.
You get yourself a trainer in the gym. A lot of the times you are entitled to a free assessment. If it is a small investment where you want to go to a personal trainer and say, I want you to do a program for me and show me the program, and then you're confident in your lifting ability, technique, it is going to do far more good for you than walking on a treadmill, going on an elliptical, doing a spin class. Like your weight training, especially as we get older, our metabolism will reduce because we will reduce muscle. Yeah. Why does muscle get reduced? Because it's not getting used. Okay, so even using simple of example, stand up off a chair. How many people put their hands on the side of the chair and push up, or put their hands on their legs and stand up? Try not. Just stand up without it. Keep that leg muscle going. I don't know what the percentage was, but it was above 70% of people are admitted to nursing homes because they can't get off the toilet. So look at the future of your life here in terms of bone health, bone mineral. And what's going to drive that calcium into the bone? Resistance training. Like, we could talk a podcast on the benefit of resistance training. So if you're listening to this now and don't do resistance training, and you want to change and have a positive impact on your balance, your mood, your weight loss, your energy, your core stability, your prevention of entering a nursing home, prevention of being self-sufficient, start weight training. And don't be afraid of it. Don't be intimidated by it. Like, everybody had to start somewhere. I never look at anyone. I'm in a gym all day, every day. I never look at someone and go, look at the state of their technique. No one's looking at you, by the way.
Yeah, no one is looking at you, yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, the people that you're afraid of or are intimidating are only looking at themselves in the mirror.
Yeah.
You know, so weight training will create an afterburn, but as you mentioned, it will change body composition. It will raise muscle in the body, which will raise overall metabolism. You raise overall metabolism, you will reduce weight longer, more successful, more sustainable. And one thing I haven't mentioned is weight loss is a long-term project. Weight loss isn't something that you do in 6 weeks and think you're going to sustain it. You're not. Put a long-term project on this. Give yourself a year to understand what good food is, what tastes good, what do you like, what's reasonable, what's achievable, what way you're going to train, what suits your lifestyle. Don't look at doing this as a quick fix. Quick fixes don't work. Cold turkey doesn't work. 800 calories doesn't work. Smoothie diets don't work. Why don't they work? Because they're not achievable long-term.
They're not sustainable. Yeah.
They're not.
It's a lifestyle decision to lose weight. And actually, while we're on the subject, there's actually real dangers associated with rapid weight loss.
Oh, absolutely.
The release of toxins into the system and stuff like that. So it is something you have to look at and say, right, this is long term. This is a long-term decision for me.
Yeah. Don't go eating a load of pills that tell you they're going to boost your metabolism. Learn how to weight train. Understand your food, and you will be successful in your journey. You know, it's straightforward enough to understand it, but the application is the difficult part. Give yourself time, and you will be successful in it, no matter what you really want to do.
Absolutely. Right. I think it's time to dive a little bit deeper into the nutritional therapy side of things. So before we go hell for leather at this, can you explain nutritional therapy and why it's different from the traditional thought in someone's head about a diet or the food pyramid, or this is just about what I eat? What's nutritional therapy?
What is nutritional therapy? It's a tough question. For me, it's about the many different contributing factors to nutrition, what it does to you from a hormonal perspective, from an energy perspective, from a sleep perspective. I use nutritional therapy to delve deep into somebody's history, into their physiological makeup. So I would run what's called a symptom burden analysis on somebody. I do a questionnaire that's 208 questions to understand and break you into, okay, your upper GI isn't performing. There's problems with your liver and gallbladder. So nutritional therapy isn't used to diagnose or treat specific illness, but when applied correctly, it will alleviate and help improve the quality of your life astronomically. So it's delving into you as a person a bit more rather than just giving you a food plan. So you come to me and you go, I can't lose weight. And a lot of times people come into me from a metabolic perspective and go, I can't lose weight. And I'm like, okay, well, what's your calories like? What's your food like? What's your digestion like? Oh, my digestion's poor. I have really irregular bowel movements. I prefer to not eat. I feel sick when I eat. I suffer massive heartburn. I have chronic diarrhea. Haven't had my period in 2 years. You know, like, you go through all this and you're like, whoa, hang on a minute. Let's park your weight loss journey for now, and let's look at addressing your digestion. So they say you are what you eat, but you're not. You are what you eat, digest, absorb, and assimilate. So if digestion isn't working...
Shout out to Robbie Bennett there.
It's funny when you said that. I had heard that before, so I don't know where he got it. Robbie,
did he get it from you or did you get it from him?
No, it's something that I've used for a long time.
Yeah.
So if your digestion isn't working correctly, a simple way is, if you're malnourished, you're not absorbing vitamins and minerals, how do you expect your thyroid to function? How do you expect your adrenals to function?
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just an endless way. So you come in and we look at nutritional therapy. We look at what you're eating. We look at how you're eating it. We look at, and I know Robbie would have spoke about it, like, are you gobbling your food? What's the HCl like in your stomach? Is there SIBO? Is there Helicobacter pylori? Is the bacteria in the stomach completely overrun? Do you suffer massive inflammation? Do you suffer massive migraines when you're in your period as a female? Like, why is there reasons? Like, we're pre-exposed to a lot, but there's a lot we can do to prevent a lot of illnesses and ailments and overall improve the quality of our life by application of nutrition and lifestyle advice.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. And I'm not for 1 second debunking or shaming or saying nutritionists aren't great. Nutritionists are, and dietitians are absolutely quality at what they do. I think the different route and why I wanted to go is I firmly believe that nutrition is the future of medicine.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a GP in with me recently, and when I presented what I do to him, he was blown away. He said he gets 10 minutes with Joe, who has heartburn, and writes him an antacid.
Yeah.
And he says, Joe has been to me 3 times. I need to show Joe I'm giving him something. So I'm giving him a tablet. Realistically, the problem is his stomach acid is too low. Not that it's too high. So we need to look at what he's eating, what's the triggers, what's the causes, how are we going to improve it, and change it that way. And working with the GP, I went in and presented to them, and they're blown away. They're like, can you come into the clinic twice a week for 2 days? Yeah. You know, like a client for me would take 2 hours to prep, 2 hours to present to them. Like, you're looking at initial consultation being about 5 hours.
Compared to 10 minutes.
Compared to 10 minutes. So we're looking at all the contributing factors. We're treating the cause, not the symptom.
Yeah. Guys, just dropping in here to remind you that today we have Seán Kinane from Health Matters on for our 2nd episode. And today we're chatting about metabolic testing, nutritional therapy, and much more. To get in touch with us here at Prymal, you can shoot an email to podcast@prymal.ie or drop me a DM on Instagram @prymalpro, PRYMALPRO. And to learn more about anything we discuss on this episode, you can see the show notes on the website at www.prymal.ie/Seán Kinane. I think I mentioned this before, but this is really exciting to me to hear more people talking about this, because this is the world that I existed in for the last 5 years, kind of, and how I kind of was introduced to a lot of people like yourself, because I worked in a practice, and it was originally a GP practice, and developed into what we term as a functional medicine practice. And what you're talking about there, I would class in the realm of functional medicine.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I used to say the exact same thing as you did. Like, there's no treatment here for a specific ailment. However, most of these ailments, and I'll call them chronic metabolic conditions nowadays, and in that I'll include things like brain degenerations and cancers and diabetes and liver issues and gut issues and all these things, skin, hair, all of these end results of metabolic dysfunction is how I used to term it, all stemmed from foundational problems with people's general health and conditions. That's the spiel I used to give to people when they're asking me, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah,
we're talking about sleep, we're talking about bowel movements, and everything.
Yeah.
It's like, we're talking about all the stuff that makes you up as a person. If there's dysfunction there, that's going to end up in one of these different boxes. And where the healthcare system looks at you, now let me qualify this by saying I think doctors are absolutely unbelievable, nurses, anybody in the health system is there to help people, and they do an amazing job at what they have. However, that system doesn't suit a lot of people, because if you go in and you probably have too much or not enough or too much stomach acid, they're going to give you a pill for that, because they only have 10 minutes, because the system they works in demand that they see you and move on to the next person. The system demands they prescribe you with something, because that's the model. And in a huge majority of cases, it doesn't work, which is why you see people coming in, and I saw people come in, and people like Owen and Robbie see people come in. All these different people are starting to see people now, and they're buying into this whole, okay, let's go a little bit deeper and look at my stress and look at my sleep and look at my food and look at my gut and all this, and maybe let's postpone having to get something from the doctor, because
like, they all have a knock-on effect. So I only graduated in May, in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
So I didn't start to practice till July. The first client I worked with was a young female, 22 years of age, and her dad reached out to me. She got to a stage where she was so skinny, she was getting bullied, anorexia. She wasn't suffering anorexia, depressed, anxiety, and she tried to commit suicide.
oh my God.
And her dad came to me, unknown what I was doing. He was like, look, can you help? And I went in, he's like, can you just provide a meal plan? And I was like, I went up and spoke to her, and I was like, no, we don't need a meal plan. We need to look at what's going on here. So straight away she said to me, she's anemic. And I went, light bulb moment. I was like, okay, so you're unresponsive to iron, which means there's massive digestive issues. Okay, fine, let's look at this. I don't like to eat because I suffer heartburn and bloating. I've chronic diarrhea, so I don't eat. So number one, you're not absorbing and digesting the food. Number two, you don't want to eat. Your overall issue here is you can't gain weight. So what's going on? So let's look at this. She was in the beauty industry as well, beautician. Poor eyes, skin, nails, hair. She was on the floor, like, and it's a recent post I did on Instagram. I've saved her life, and this is her words. You know, I mean, I was talking to her yesterday. She hadn't had a period in 2 years. Her periods are regular, no digestive issues. Her hair, her skin, her nails, her energy, her sleep. She's absolutely in love with food again. So meat is the first thing she said. I couldn't eat meat, couldn't eat breakfast, everything like that. But the big thing is she's gained 1.5 stone since July.
Wow.
The doctor thinks she has weights in her pocket. The doctor's blown away. But she was on all this antacid medication. What's the side effect of antacid medication? Diarrhea. You know, so like it's a complete, and I'm not taking anything away from him again, but he's a very, very short period of time with her where we spent all this time with her, and she is a different person. Her mum and dad have reached out to me saying like they've never seen her like this. Energy. She wouldn't get out of bed 2 in the day. She's up at 9 o'clock making food, prepping breakfast, you know, and it was all just a bit of understanding and education around what's going on. And up until, I do a 6-week follow-up with them. She hadn't got her period. Now she's like 3 periods in a row. She's like, I never thought I'd be thanking you for getting my period. And she texted me yesterday or 2 days ago saying I'm in bits. And I was like, well, look, we need to look at that now as a different issue as to why you're suffering such bad PMS. But you now have your cycle regular, your weight is gaining, your skin is good, your nails are good, your hair is good, your digestion's good, no diarrhea, no heartburn, no bloating. I'm like, you are a completely, she said again, she reiterated the fact, she's like, you've saved my life. You know, and all that was in 4 months. 4 months. Now, look, don't get me wrong. It's not going to be that successful with everybody. Yeah. However, some simple little things like, I'm like, okay, back up there. You're unresponsive to iron. Straight away, there's an issue there. Yeah. Okay, so what's happening? So he's giving her these iron tablets and it's not working. Can't understand why it's not working. Yeah. You know, like, why is it not working? So you're not breaking it down. You're flushing it straight out. Or, again, people learn to accept their symptoms. I have a girl in with me recently.
It's grand. This is what it is now. This is the new norm.
And this is no lie. 4 years, chronic diarrhea.
4 years.
Every night she wakes up for 20 minutes and sits on the pot.
Jeez, the poor woman.
You know? And again, this was another heartburn issue. I got a list of medication. She was on 3 separate antacids. And I was like, what's going on here? I don't know what them tablets do. So again, it's not accountability. It's not unwilling to address the issues that's causing the problems. Yeah. So there's massive underlying causes. We, I think, as a world, dress the symptom too quick. We don't dress the cause.
Yeah, and it is a culture thing. And again, I'm just going to keep re-saying this. I want to be very careful not to shit on anybody here.
No,
and
we're not.
Like that. And it's great to hear you mentioned there that young doctor was really, really excited to work with you because that's what it's all about. It is this, again, this word is misused, but it is a holistic approach. You need everybody on board to get the best for the client. Seán, plus the doctor, plus the nutritionist, plus the strength and conditioning
coach. And don't get me wrong, like, as soon as I find that if something, like, I would say, like, this is medical, you need to go to your doctor. 100%. I not for 1 second am saying that I'm going to solve major disease or illness, but when working together with a group of professionals with one goal in mind, you'll get success. Yeah. We can help that journey significantly quicker by applying good education around nutrition and lifestyle habits, addressing and looking into what's causing the issue rather than just addressing the symptom, and providing the body with the vitamins and minerals it needs to operate at optimal health, basically. You know, like, to suffer chronic fatigue or to suffer chronic digestion, bloating, they just associate, that's grand, I just bloat every time I eat. Yeah. That's not normal.
It's not normal.
Or, I don't have a bowel movement. I have a bowel movement about twice a week. That's not normal. Yeah. Another one was, I haven't had my period in 2 years. So on the forms that I would create for someone, I asked them to list their 5 major health concerns. It wasn't listed on our 5 major health concerns. So we get all these forms back. I do a consultation. About 40 minutes into the consultation, I get onto kind of endocrine hormonal response. And I find out that she hasn't had a period in 2 years. I'm like, whoa, we are going to change our whole journey now. Yeah. We need to get you, there's something major going on here. But that was just normal for her. You know, but that's not normal. We have to be realistic with our signs and our symptoms. And the overall goal is optimal health, long-term energy, be able to play with your grandkids, be able to fight illnesses and ailments, be able to fight immunity or have good immunity, you know. Look at the big picture on overall health and where are you on that platform? And how are you going to get there?
Yeah.
So working with the likes of, as you mentioned, loads of like S&Cs, getting your doctor on board, getting with a nutritionist, dietitian, a nutritional therapist, getting and understand that the benefits, and like sometimes you mightn't click with somebody, and that's fine. You know what I mean? Like some clients, I'll know straight away with someone if we're going to click or not, and I can refer them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I'm a big fan of referral, and not for 1 second would I pretend to know everything about everything, because I can't. Doctors know lots about little, and that's what this young GP said to me. Like they get no nutritional training, like zero.
Isn't that nuts?
And then they have so many people that come in with the likes of heartburn or chronic fatigue or digestive issues, and they have to be seen to be doing something where they're going to address them with a medication. But this, again, I had a pharmacist on my course as well, and she was like, people are coming into the shop every day asking me for this and that, and I wanted a bit more of an education. All she wanted, she didn't want to practice an NT, she just wanted an education to be able to deliver solid advice based around lifestyle and nutrition.
That's brilliant. I think it's amazing.
It is, and I'm very hopeful for the future, but the more I get into this and practice, as I said, I'm only practicing since July. I'm up around 20 clients only, you know.
Yeah.
But I get such a buzz off it.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm now on my stage of follow-ups. So I have 2 follow-ups later today.
Yeah,
you know, I'm buzzing for the follow-up.
Yeah.
You know, to see where your issues are, how you've got on, what do we need to change, what your appetite's like, X, Y, and Z. So each one of them, and people always said in college, they said you'll find you're dealing with a lot of the same client. So like at the moment, I'm dealing with 3-4 different clients that all have the same digestive issues. But the digestion is the core. You know, like if you look at your gut and your health, like you're more bacteria than you are human.
Yeah.
The bacteria is in the gut. If you don't have that digestive system right, you're going to find everything goal orientated wise very difficult to achieve.
Yeah.
You know, and understanding the habits that are needed to create harmony with digestion.
Yeah.
I know the lad spoke about it with your eating speed and being aware. And
mindful eating and stuff like that.
it's something that I'm trying to implement with my kids. I'm like, look, no, you're not on the TV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's understand that we're eating. Just even that alone, being in the moment of eating. Get away from technology.
Yeah.
And physically, like, so why does your mouth water? Because it's the salivary amylase getting ready for digestion. You know, something as simple as that. So understanding and educating the chemical and mechanical digestion, chewing your food a bit better, slowing down the speed that we eat, staying away from water when we're eating, because if you've low HCl, is it getting diluted more? You know, so simple little things. Or someone said to me the other day, oh, I get massive heartburn when I eat raspberries and drink lemon water. Any suggestions what to do? And I was like, yeah, stop eating raspberries and drinking lemon water for now, and let's see if that is the issue.
If it's the trigger,
Let's see if that's causing the problem. If not, let's isolate it. Okay, what is causing your issue? Are you, all of a sudden, as you've progressed and got older, have you built an intolerance to milk because the enzyme to break down lactase isn't there anymore? You know, like, so what's the issues? Always question and probe and probe and probe. And you see people, when I ask more questions, they're like, why are you asking that? I'm like, because I bet you I know the answer. And like, yeah, how did you know that? You know, because it's understanding the physiological makeup of a human to help them alleviate their ailments and illnesses, you know.
Let me see if I can tie this into a little bundle to help it resonate with some people. You just described many, many different things there, from mindful eating to understanding the type of food and the amount of food you need, and slowing down to give your salivary amylase time to do its actual job, and understanding the foods that might be good for you and bad for you and your gut health and all that kind of thing. They're all part of the same system. They're not individual things, because people categorize those as individual things. And what I mean by that is, if you go to the doctor with a skin issue, and this is not a jab at anybody, with a skin issue, you're going to be treated for the skin issue because you're viewing the skin issue as a skin issue, not as a sign that there is something in your system wrong. You're viewing it as a skin issue. Now, in some cases, they look a little bit deeper, but in the majority of cases, if you go with a skin issue, you're going to be treated with some form of topical skin treatment or something like that. Whereas in most cases, I'd be fairly confident now, having seen this for years and years and years and years, in most cases, that skin issue is a manifestation of something that's going on a deeper level. And when you dig with these people, if you came in with a skin issue and we looked a little bit deeper and we said, right, put your skin issue over there for a sec, we're going to forget about that, let's just do a general health check, you're probably going to find the cause for the skin issue in that general health check. Well, it could be anything, but it's probably in the general health check not treating with the skin issue. So let's not treat the skin issue. Let's look at your general health. Let's improve that with all of these things we talked about. Let's implement a better lifestyle for you. And oh wow, your skin issue went away. Your period's back.
Yeah.
You're not having digestive issues anymore. We didn't even treat your skin issue. It's gone.
Yeah, gone.
But now you're generally a healthier person. And all these other things you thought were normal. You're sleeping a bit better. You don't have mood fluctuations throughout the day. You're
not awake at night.
You're not awake at night. All this stuff, we haven't talked about any of that, but it's all gotten better. It's amazing, isn't it? Because it's a connected system.
That's why I love the follow-ups. You know,
yeah,
you're
going to get a real buzz off that
Yeah,
stuff.
so like, okay, so you listed digestion or you listed bloating as an issue. Can you tell me anything else that's happened? Yeah, I have more energy.
It's
my
mad,
skin's
isn't
better.
it? Yeah.
Like your one that I was speaking about, like she's saying as a beauty therapist, like she can't get over the strength of her nails, the improvement in her skin, her hair. They weren't listed as anything.
Yeah.
They were never of concern.
Yeah.
You know, it is that overall knock-on effect, you know, to see what you can do. And like the power of quality nutrition is phenomenal.
It's
and
amazing.
I the more I see it, the more I just can't understand why, for example, it's not taught in school.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
You know, like not taking anything away from what happened in 1100 BC, but I don't need to know about that. But I don't know how to make chicken, or I don't understand what a nightshade vegetable is, or I don't understand what a salad is, you know what I mean, or what a vitamin is, what's a fat soluble vitamin. Like this is the things that we should be talking about in school and educating our kids to understand it. Like I'm trying to do a lot with my own kids, but keep it very, very simple.
Yeah.
You know, like a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
But to see me eating the good quality food, and I don't force them to eat their vegetables. I let them play with it.
Yeah.
You know, from a very young age, chop up apple, banana, peppers, and let them just play with their food. If they want to taste it, eat it. Help me prep the food. Chop up beetroot.
Yeah.
Get
They're involved
inquisitive.
in the process, yeah.
Yeah, get inquisitive and don't force it on them. They will find what they do like. And then, like my son, who I don't think at the start he was great, like bananas, everything, but he'd kind of step away from some of the food that I'd eat. But the other day he's like, "Oh, Daddy, can I try that?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, peppers." Like his sister eats peppers till the cows come home.
Yeah.
You know, but or can I try that? And that's all you're waiting for is the consistent encouragement, not forcing them to do it, but and then trying to give a small bit of education. So he's obsessed with superheroes at the moment. I'm like, all right, we need to make sure we have our protein and we need to make sure we have our vegetables. Why, Daddy? I'm like, because you need to get muscles like Hulk. This is what you need to eat.
Yeah.
So you can play with it in that sense, you know, where you're just trying to give them comparisons but give that bit of education as well. Oh, this is for energy. Like they have chia seeds in their porridge. You know what I mean? Why are we getting that in? Oh, we're getting a bit of good fats in. What's that going to help with? Anti-inflammatory. They get vitamin D every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Coronavirus. This is going to help keep the virus away, son.
Yeah.
You know, oh, can I have my D, Daddy? Can I have my vitamin D? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You know, so starting the kids really, really young. That went a bit off topic, but
no, it didn't, because it's part of the conversation. I'm going to ask you the question anyway, because I noticed on your website you're involved with schools programs, which is fantastic, and I'm going to ask you to speak about it now in a second. But at the risk of going a little bit left of centre into the conspiracy theory side of things, the reason I feel that this stuff isn't prioritised because we're essentially industrialized and we're being trained to be good little factory workers. So it's in our benefit to educate ourselves about our nutrition and what we want. And like I said in the last podcast, your slogan is something that I've said for years and didn't realize it was your slogan as well, is take control of your own health. We're not encouraged to take control of our own health. We're educated on the things that are going to help us contribute to the society we've built. So we're going to be trained to be good workers in the workforce. That's what we're being trained to do. Now, agree or disagree with me, that's my opinion on the whole thing. But as a side effect, that's why we're not educated in schools on things like the importance of understanding your own nutrition, how to prepare food, how to do the things that make you happy, how to manage your own mental health, your physical health, how to train, how to do all these things that are just the core elements of being a human being. If you want to be a good accountant, you are not going to be a good accountant unless you're healthy, unless you're in control, unless you're happy. If you want to be a good astronaut, you're not going to be a good astronaut unless you're healthy and happy and in control. Now, you can learn all the skills and you can become very proficient, but you're not going to have fulfillment, and therefore you're not going to be the best you could be at that job. So I'm not trying to say don't be industrialized and don't go work in an office and break free of the revolution and all that. I'm not saying that. If you want, great, I want to do that, but that's why I feel it's not a priority to educate, because if we wanted to do it, we would do it. Let's face it, bottom line, we'd scrap history.
Yeah.
And we put in, how do you cook a healthy meal for yourself? And what is a healthy meal? This word healthy. No, don't read it on the TV. What is healthy? It's balanced. It's gut health. It's brain health.
And it's not sponsored by...
And it's not sponsored by Kellogg's.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? But that's why I feel it's not there. And at the risk of sounding real negative, let me put the positive spin. That's why I love talking to people like you. And I've made it very clear, my goal here for me and my family and my daughter, who's 2.5, I want to understand how to give her that knowledge. And then she can go out into the world and do whatever the hell she wants. She can be an astronaut or she can be a rebel or she can be an accountant, whatever she wants, because she'll understand how to eat well, how to live well, how to move well, how to interact well with other people, and how to arm herself with those tools. That's my job, I feel now. And how do I do that? I bring Seán Kinane on the podcast and I learn, and that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm trying to take control of my own health. And health for me means all those different things. That was a rant. There you go. Now, to bring it,
do you know where you're going?
I do know where I'm going. I'm going to bring it back full circle. So I read on your website that you actually work with schools, and I'm fairly confident that what I just said is part of the reason why you wanted to do this. You have children yourself, but you've obviously...
I started well before I had kids, to be honest.
But you obviously, I can tell from you're very interested in... You educated yourself, you got involved in this world, and now you want to make sure that other people have this. Like you said, I know you're only practicing a few months, but realistically, you've been
4 years of study.
You've been doing this for years and years and years and years with everything else you've done, and now you're arming yourself with more tools to do the same thing, help and educate people about themselves and their health. So you've been doing this for more than a few months. You've been involved in this for years. What inspired you to get involved with schools?
What inspired me to get involved with schools? Probably the scary observation of the difference in the size of kids when I came back from traveling.
Well, okay, yeah.
And I was only away for a few years, you know?
Yeah.
What I tried to do, it's a primary school educational / activity program where we go into primary schools. And the issue is that you just met with resistance straight away. You'd be lucky to get past the secretary to go in and present this case. It's
Why?
not, I don't know. I really don't know. It's not that expensive.
Yeah.
I charge €4 to €5 a student, depending on the size of the school.
Yeah.
What we try and do, so I will go in and visit every single classroom, and we go in from junior infants to 6th class. Obviously, the education is different. With the junior infants, it's a bit of crack. I love the days I go in and educate the kids. It's just so funny. But we go in and we'll educate the classes on what a fruit is, what a vegetable is, what a protein is, what food does. Talk about water, talk about sleep, just give an education as we get older into the older classes, give a bit more detail as to what a calorie is, even a macronutrient, and just give them that education. Now, what I do as well is every single student in the school would get a form at the start of the week where they have to aim to have 5 fruit and veg a day, 10 hours sleep, 1 to 2 litres of water a day, an hour activity, and to try something that they've never tried before in terms of fruit or veg.
I like that. Yeah, that's cool.
And it's a sheet that gets sent home, and there's a tick box on it, Monday to Sunday. It's for a week. Parents have to sign it. Then it starts to go, can you give one for my sister? My brother's not in school. My mum and dad are going to do it. So all of a sudden, there's a complete different swing of mindset for the first week we're in the school, because people are eating better, sleeping better, drinking more water, trying different stuff. Then what we do, the second week, we take every class for 2 different... Now, this is what standard. We can deviate away from it. 2 30 or 40-minute slots where we would get them all exercising but playing no games that they can do with little to no equipment, and they can even do on their own. So it's terrible to see, but young girls are the biggest percentage that will drop out of sport because of how self-conscious they become.
Yeah.
And I work in a school quite close to where my parents live, and every year I went into the school, I could see the certain girls getting bigger, and every year I'd go in and do the education. They wouldn't turn up for the following week. They'd be sick. Speaking to the teachers, they never go swimming because they don't want to get changed in front of their peers. Yeah. And it's sad because if we don't get control of obesity and overweight in kids, it's going to go into without a shadow of a doubt, they're going to become an overweight adult. And again, we're not fat shaming here in any way, shape or form. But if your child is overweight, it is going to cause health implications in their life as they get older. You as the parent have to take control for that. And if it means little Johnny gets upset because you're not giving him ice cream every day, it's going to be better for him long term. Yeah. You have to take control of your kids, even from a mental health perspective, because they're going to get bullied. You have to make changes. Get them walking to school. Walk with them. Buy them a scooter. Don't buy them a ride-on scooter. Buy them a bike that they need to cycle. Park further away. Walk on Wednesdays. Great initiative the school have done. You know, but the games that we do is they can set. We're not just doing basic, simple games. We're doing fun games where everybody can take part in. You don't need to be massively skillful to do it. Yeah, there'll be a bit of hand-eye coordination. Yeah, there's movement, but it's done at a level you could go home and play with your sister, your mom, your dad, your brother, your friend, or you could implement a lot of what we're doing on your own. Yeah. So within 2 weeks then, we have an education. The girls' school that I work in, I bring in a Zumba teacher. She takes the classes for Zumba. We do a full class, a school Zumba at the end of the week. Today, 520 girls doing Zumba in the field with the teachers. It's a buzz. You know what I mean? So we're trying to find something that they like to do.
Yeah.
I've done a couple of the schools I've worked with long term now, and everyone knows me as Healthy Seán. You know, like if I make the mistake of leaving and going to the shops around the time that the schools are out, I'll just be screamed at Healthy Seán. And the time where I buy someone a pizza that's not for me, they're like, look what he's eating.
That's not for me, guys.
Now my son has started in the school because they do a junior and senior infant in that school. You know, so I really would love to be able to, hopefully with this year, what's happening with COVID is built up in the air, but this school we normally do it in May, so we get the good weather. I always get sunburned in the school. The teachers all say to me when I'm in, they know it's sunny, to give the education to them, you know what I mean? But then he could say to his friends, you know, oh, you should eat this, because he'll know it a lot more. Yeah. You know, so I'd be proud to present in front of him, to be in his school, to go in and give the education, and the teachers understand it and the teachers buy into it. It's not just the students. A lot of times the students aren't in the teacher's class, or the kids aren't in the class. Can I take them for my daughter? I'm going to do this at home. And all of a sudden there's a buzz. Parents stop me in the street. Thanks for doing that. You know what I mean? It's great. That for me alone is so rewarding. Yeah. Like my job's done at that point. Yeah. So you've changed maybe one person's life. But it's something I speak about with the corporate world. If you can make someone healthier, you make them happier, you make them more productive, there's going to be less sick days, there's less of a chance of developing serious illnesses or ailments. Look, the most healthiest person in the world unfortunately can get cancer, but there's a lot we can do to give us a foundation to prevent terrible illness. Yeah. And there are choices, even if we're pre-exposed to it. Just because you're pre-exposed to diabetes doesn't mean you're going to get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you change your lifestyle, you can prevent it from happening. You can minimise your
risk. You can manage yourself. Yeah.
But the accountability of the parents, and I hope it resonates with somebody. You have to take control. You know if your child's overweight. I know for a fact if my kids are overweight, I'm going to pull a certain plug on a snack or a food, or it annoys me, and I'm never going to win it, and I know I'm never going to win it. But why am I looked on as being the evil side of a parent when I want my kids to eat well? Why am I told that I can't tell my kids they're not having snacks? Am I a bad person or a bad parent? Like, I just don't get it, and I struggle to get it. And it gets me angry when I'm trying to give my kids more fruit and vegetables and a better quality of nutrients for their benefit. I'm not giving them as much chocolate or crisps as they want.
Yeah. This is, I feel, a really...
Now, hang on. Before you go on, one thing I will say, though, is I don't not give my kids snacks. Of course I do.
Yeah, it's a balance.
Yeah, it
is a balance. And that word is really difficult to actually fully use, balance, but it is a balance, But my theory, and I'm sure this will be reflected by you and it'll resonate with people, I think a huge part of the problem we have nowadays, and you've touched on loads of different elements of the same problem, raising your kids and having other people think that you're evil for denying your children something they want, fat shaming, young girls not wanting to get involved in exercise, all that kind of stuff. It all circles around this same thing that we seem to be taking the wrong direction with this, and it's this absolute fear of being called a bigot, or being told that you're fat shaming somebody, or that you're of offending somebody else. So we're terrified. So I'm going to say this really, really black and white, right? We know for a fact, I know you're black and white, if you smoke, you are going to be less healthy and you're going to have health complications. I'm not saying if you smoke you'll get cancer. I'm saying you're going to be less healthy and lots of things are going to be affected. Everybody accepts that. Everybody accepts that. If you drink or take drugs or eat certain types of food or make bad lifestyle choices, you are less healthy. And as we've described, it is a system and that's going to affect you in many, many different ways, right? So it doesn't mean if you eat bad food you're going to get fat. It's going to affect loads of aspects of your life. But if somebody is overweight and carries weight, categorically, fact, black and white, right here, and you'll validate this, you are less healthy. There's a relationship with decreases in testosterone, increases in heart disease, all sorts of different
diabetes,
mental health.
Mental health.
And we're now in a culture where you're not allowed fat shame. But it's not about fat shaming. If you are overweight, or if you currently smoke, or if you currently drink, I am not, and you're not trying to make that person feel bad about that. That is where you are at this particular moment in time. You are carrying more weight than what we categorically, factually know is healthy. You're not as healthy as you could be. So if you lose weight, you could be healthier. That's nothing to be ashamed of. You are where you are right now for whatever reasons. If you lose weight, you'll be more healthy. However, if you say that to somebody, you're making a judgment on their body type, or you can't say that to a girl who's overweight, or even now a guy who's overweight, because you're fat shaming them. But that means that they are less likely to lose the weight, and they're less likely to be healthy. And your motivation is to try and help that person be healthy. So we've blurred the lines now between you trying to help that person and you being evil. Now it's bleeding into kids. Oh, you can't say the word bold to your kids. I heard that 10 years ago. My mum told me that you can't say the word bold because it'll affect their mental development. And my thought was, this child needs to understand their boundaries. How are we supposed to help them understand their boundaries? Forget all this psychological development stuff. If they don't understand their boundaries, they're going to end up really confused and lost as older people. Where are we now? We have a whole generation of children who are confused and lost and they've mental health issues. The weight thing is the exact same. You can't deny your child the thing they want. You have a responsibility as a parent to make sure that child is healthy as possible. You know if they carry less weight, they're going to be healthier. Therefore, you want to do everything you can to make them carry less weight. And sometimes that means making them cry because they can't have ice cream every single day.
But leading by example, I think, is the number one thing you need to do. You can't be telling little Johnny can't have ice cream and you're stuffing your face with it.
100%.
You need to be shown or be seen to be bringing more vegetables in, better quality food, trying new recipes. If you don't like them, don't eat them.
Exactly.
And it's
practice what you preach.
It is also consistency in effort to get them to eat something.
Yeah.
Not just, I taste it once, I'm not going. Have it there.
Yeah.
And if we look at it, like, people often say that good food is too expensive. It's not. Like, you could get like a roast chicken as an example, feed a family, couple of potatoes, bit of broccoli, bit of carrots.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be an organic.
No, and I think this is where people lose the plot as well, is that they want to have these absolutely fancy, luxurious meals. The way successful, good nutrition is when you keep it simple.
Keep it simple, yeah.
Keep it simple. Yeah. Get back to the basics. Add in vegetables, mix them up, change it, let them try it, let them play with it, let them feel it, help them cut it with you. You know what I mean? Let them get into preparation with you. But you like, it's scary and it's sad that the levels of obesity in this country is just going higher and higher and higher and higher. And it's fact, a child that's obese is a 96%, I think it's 96% higher chance of being overweight as an adult. And that is, as we spoke about, going to cause endless implications long term.
And what do? We look at trying to use CBT and psychology for these children now. And yeah, it has its place in certain conditions, but 90% of these children, they just need a better education about food and movement. Yeah. I read some really interesting studies 3 or 4 years ago about sitting. And there's a direct link between when children start going to school and an increase in all of the negative markers for obesity, ADHD, attention, test scores, cognitive ability.
Even look at PE.
Yeah.
Like PE, you get it once a week?
Once a week.
Like, what?
And now, as you said, a lot of girls aren't even doing it.
Yeah.
Even when I was in school, a lot of girls started to drop out when they got to a stage where their bodies were developing and became very self-conscious about PE because they weren't. I always look at it this way. They're on Instagram and they see, my body needs to look like this. I need to be this shape. And it's usually someone who's in outrageous condition.
It's scary. It's scary, the future, what social media has done in that sense. But like, I'd love to stick a pedometer on my kids just for the crack. And I've said I'm going to do it. They just wouldn't let it stay on them. But to see the steps that they take, you know, and then it's something that would be interesting as a study, as you mentioned, as you progress through. You sit down more.
You're sitting 8 hours a day then.
And you're eating probably the same, if not more. And then the bad choices, like it's coming straight back to eat less, move more in a long roundabout way.
Yeah.
But and unfortunately, it's something that isn't a very big part of my business because of the resistance that is met when I try to implement it.
Really, yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Very, very small.
Well, let me give my opinion and then you can see if it's wrong or right. I think people, number one, they're afraid of offending anybody. They're afraid of being called fat shaming or evil parents or whatever. But number two, they see there's an internal resistance because people, when you make that comment about their child, usually it's a reflection on them as well. And very, very uncomfortable, as we all are, in analysing their own habits and education and knowledge. They know you're going to point out something that's not being done right. And it's almost, they feel it as an accusation, where this is not an accusation at all. Like you speaking about this, you say sometimes you get a bad rap as being the bad guy or the hard black and white guy. But that says more about the person who's receiving the information than it does about the person giving the information. Yeah, maybe it can be delivered with a little bit of bedside manner, which I'm sure you do. I'm sure you don't just go, you're fat, lose the weight.
No,
there's a process, there's a bedside manner. But that information is just information. Anybody who interprets that as a personal attack on them needs to kind of step away from that for a second. It's not a personal attack. If someone says you're overweight and if you lose weight, you're going to be more healthy, you haven't said you're a slob. You've said you are, these are the facts. Now let's see how we can get you there in as enjoyable and pleasant a manner as we possibly can. Let's see, can we get you to somewhere? Because I guarantee you, and this is people are going to have a problem with me saying this, I guarantee you, nobody who is overweight doesn't wish they weren't overweight. Yeah. They can accept themselves, and I accept them, and I would never ever shame somebody for their body type, ever. I accept that that's their body type, and they should accept that body type. And there are underlying conditions, and that's what I have underlying conditions. Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's figure out what they are.
Yeah.
And then let's help you with them.
Just try and alleviate them.
No, you can't. You're shaming me now. You're saying that. No, absolutely not. Be proud of who you are and everything. But there's things we can work on, and let's acknowledge that and step away from the emotion. It's not an attack.
Not being afraid to reach out either.
No, don't be afraid. But it's shame. I'm ashamed. I'm embarrassed. And the point I was making about the social media, you're told this is what you have to look like, but you're embarrassed to get changed in front of your peers for PE because you don't look like that.
Yeah.
But you're never going to get there unless you engage in the activity. And look, I know it's really hard to be a teenager, boy or girl.
Absolutely.
It's really hard as a 32-year-old man to go to the beach and take your top off, and you know people are looking at me, they're judging me, all that kind of stuff. It's a very hard thing to do. However, it doesn't change the fact that if you want to get to a certain goal, be it weight loss, weight gain, maintenance, healthy, whatever, you have to engage in something. And if we've created an environment where young girls are afraid to get changed and do PE, we should do something different for them. And you did. You gave them the Zumba class. That's amazing.
Yeah, but it goes further than that as well. So like stepping slightly away from kids, like if we look at certain jobs where you should be leaner or lighter or more mobile, flexible. Like I've done work with the guards, the army, the fire brigade.
You're a pro, man. What a segue. That was my next question.
And this is no word of a lie. I worked with a fireman a few years ago who was 128 kilos. Like he is not going to be able to climb a ladder, get through a window and rescue someone in a burning building. That's fact.
Yeah.
That's not
Wasn't
shaming
Coleman,
anyone. You know what?
Wasn't Ronnie Coleman, no.
No. But like that's not right.
Yeah.
But he had to do one fitness test 30 years ago, and that was it. And you get met with, you're going to make him lose his job. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to make him lose his job at all, but I'm going to make him healthier, more productive. He's going to be able to do his job better.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just one. He was the biggest one. There was lots of them over 100 kilos, like lots of them.
Yeah.
And they didn't see it as an issue. You know, as working as in the fire brigade.
Yeah.
Working in the guards. Again, I've worked with a lot of them in that sense where we'd be like, okay, how are you going to chase someone? Like I could walk away from you.
Yeah.
You know? And again, it probably comes back to you as we're fat shaming. We're not. We're applying theory. You're there to do a physical job that demands movement, mobility, strength, speed, but it's not applied to it. And it's a lifestyle that's probably associated with it, where if they're going to be working in a smaller town, they might be at home a lot more. So they're just on call where they have access to food. There's not a lot of exercise. There's no physical training, you know. Or you have the other side of things where you've two people that are going for the same job. Sorry, two people that are in the same job. One is grossly overweight, the other's not, but the other person has failed their fitness test because they're a newer recruit. But the older recruit that does the exact same job doesn't have to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Like it's scary. It's in all industries. When we do corporate work, not for 1 second are we there to call up people, share data with bosses. Your boss doesn't get an insight. Like the data we get with metabolic and VO2 testing on a corporate level is done on a one-to-one basis. However, the objective behind corporate wellness is to create a better, healthier, happier, more productive workforce. And that is achieved through education and or bringing the likes of Health Matters on site to give and arm the people with that.
Yeah.
And it keeps coming back to health.
I know, yeah.
Like if you're 20 stone and you get to 15 stone, I can guarantee you're going to have less ailments and illnesses.
Fact.
You know what I mean?
Fact.
And then you're going to be happier in yourself, more productive, happier at home, mental issues could alleviate. You could be stronger, happier, healthier. And it's just a complete circle. So there's that. There is times when I go into companies where they go, I'm not doing that test because you're going to share that with my boss. I'm like, no, you're the one that needs this more than anybody.
Yeah.
You know, why? I don't know. I really, really don't know. And it's sad and it's scary. And I know it keeps coming in my head, and I don't even want to say the word fat shaming. It's not fat shaming.
It's not, yeah.
It's realistic education around the negatives associated with being overweight.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, if you go for a job as, I won't use accountants again, you go for a job as anything that requires, let's say you go for a job as a CEO of a tech company, right? Yeah. There's a requirement for the job, and you have to present your CV, and you have technical requirements, you have managerial requirements, you've all these sorts of requirements to do that job. And if you don't have those in place, you won't get the job. Physical jobs like frontline workers, firefighters, guards, and people in the army, who have my absolute undying sympathy, by the way, because they get such a hard time, they get very little support, and it's a very difficult system to work in. And I know a lot of these people, and I have such respect for them. They get a really, really hard time. For those jobs, if you were to sit down and write it out, there would be a physical CV. Okay, this is what your day looks like. You're mobile and active for 12 hours in a day. You might have physical confrontation. You might have to carry a human being out of a building. You have to climb ladders. You have to swim. You have to, whatever it might be. The job is physical for the most part with any of these frontline jobs. So there should be a physical CV, a health CV. And if you don't have these requirements, now I know they have the fitness tests, but for me, it's like going for that job as the CEO of Apple or whatever like that, and they ask you, have you ever sat in an office chair before? Yeah. Okay, you're in. Like, there's one requirement. Are you able to walk? Are you able to do a mile in 9 minutes? Are you able to do 10 push-ups or whatever it is? I spoke to the intake officer for the army who does the fitness tests. I mentioned it, and he's terrified and shocked and appalled at the decline in people's abilities. And it wasn't even a hard test to begin with, and they've had to actually restructure the test now because so many people were failing the physical side. And they were fine with the interview and all the aptitude tests. But the CV, the requirements for that job don't match the job itself. So then you get a lot of people who go into the job, and as you said, they're not in good condition. And I don't care what anybody says, it is a requirement for a job. If you're in the Garda, if you're in the army, and if you're a firefighter, it is a physical job. You have to be physically able. But now these people are in there, and I understand the conditions in the job sometimes mightn't be ideal. You could be sitting in your car all day, you might be in the office or whatever like that. However, even those parts of those forces, as you've mentioned with corporate, could massively benefit from being healthier. So that health CV doesn't exist for
or
these
you
jobs.
get people that just train for the test.
Not most people.
That's it.
My test is coming up in 6 months. I'm going to beat that test. But that's not
and then they fall off the wagon.
Yeah.
But again, it's not an individual attack on any one of these people that
they're
work.
amazing people.
Where I'm looking at the bigger picture here as to why it's not implemented. And I know I've lost out on certain contracts with certain bodies because they say it costs too much. Like, I don't think the price of my services is high, and to go through all these levels of tick boxes to get to the final stage to go, no, it costs too much money. I couldn't believe it. Like, I just can't understand why we don't emphasize health through exercise and nutrition.
Well, doesn't it come back to the same point we mentioned? Why isn't this in the schools? It's not a priority for that system. No. Their budget is elsewhere, whatever it is. I'd be disrespectful to try and say what I knew it was about, but I don't know what. But their priority is not the health and wellness or physical ability of their force. It's elsewhere because the money's there.
Yeah,
the money is there. It's just not in the places that people like myself and yourself believe it should be. Now, other people have other priorities, and I'm sure there's more nuances to where the money goes in the guards and all that kind of stuff. We won't get into that. But from a health point of view, what you're saying can't be denied. They will be better. They will be happier. They will be healthier. They will be more productive. They'd be less of a drain on the healthcare system. They'd be more able to educate their children, who are the next generation, who are struggling. Positives everywhere. And I know I'm a bit of a fanatic when it comes to this stuff, and you've seen me now in this podcast go off on rants and get really passionate, but I'm the same as you. I see how this can improve people's lives. It's improved my life. It's improved people in my family have made changes. It's improved their lives. And it's so inspiring and powerful when you see it. It's addictive to be involved in this, and it's good for you. It's amazing. That's why I get so passionate about it. But put this into the real world scenario. Why won't they pay €65 for a test? Because it's not a priority. We need to change that. And I hate being one of these people sitting on radio shows and podcasting. We need to change this. How? We've just done an hour and 40 minutes talking about how. Take control again if you're a guard or in the army. Now, you mentioned to me as well, which I think we have to say, there's lots of people in these jobs who are in incredible condition.
Oh, absolutely.
Incredible condition. Oh, they're absolute animals.
I have people that come to me individually.
Yeah.
Out of work, not got to do with their work, and says, okay, I want to get this done to improve my ability to carry out my job. Yeah. You know, and it's great.
Yeah.
Some of them are deep.
Oh, I'll mention her name because she was on the podcast. She won't mind me saying it. Rachel Lee was on this podcast. She's a firefighter paramedic. She's also a record-holding ocean swimmer and a mother, and she an incredible person. Her drive to do better and to help and to apply all these lessons to raising her kids and doing her job and helping people. Absolutely amazing. And I'm fairly confident in saying that most people who join these professions, that's their motivation. But there's no system there to support that motivation. No. If you want to do it, you got to do it by yourself. Simple fact, take control of your own health.
Done.
Absolutely, yeah. Have I left that note from the nutritional therapy and metabolic side of things?
I don't think so.
I went off on one there. Totally got us lost in the weeds.
I hope they link in well together, because I know we covered different topics, but they do. It's all there, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. You know? It's all connected. You have a very, very clear modus operandi when you're talking about fitness and health and aerobic versus anaerobic. When you're talking about nutrition, when you're talking about education, your modus operandi is very clear to me here. You're trying to help educate people and empower people. I think it's massively important. I think what you're doing is unbelievable. Like, this is what I said to you, when we were talking first. It's like, VO2 max, how much can we talk about VO2 max? Look, we're 2 podcasts in. We need 4 hours of conversation in, and we're still going to do more. And it's all connected. Like, the VO2 max is one metric, metabolic resting rate is one metric, your Fitbit is one metric, how happy you are is one, how well you're sleeping is one metric. But the more we keep going over this stuff, and the more people like you keep offering your services to people who want to know this and who want to educate themselves, I want to end this on a positive note. We're going the right direction here.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be people that listen to this that disagree with
definitely
the way we've done it, but at the end of the day, it's an overall drive to increase health and performance of our nation, so to speak. Not that I'm getting diplomatic saying our nation, but anyone that comes to me wants to improve their quality of life. Yeah, realistically.
Okay.
You know, or improve what makes them happy. So they want to become a fitter athlete, better, stronger athlete, increase threshold. They want to understand why they're bloating. They want to do X, Y, and Z, you know. So it's a difficult journey. I think it's turning, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. When I say the future of medicine is nutrition, I think I'm in a great position that I'm qualified now. Like, in 10 years down the line, I think there's going to be so much more emphasis and so much more study into the power of nutrition, and giving it time and letting the body work with proper nutrition. You will reap the benefits of it endlessly, realistically, you know.
So just on the testing that you do, a little recap for people, because we talked about this with VO2. If someone comes into you for metabolic testing, obviously you've described the test, and it's nothing like VO2 max,
no, that's for sure.
Unless you do both on the same day. Can you do both on the same day?
Yeah, metabolic first.
Okay.
Because no exercise before metabolic.
You'll be exhausted after fucking VO2,
But your metabolism will be functioning a lot higher. Yes, correct. At that point.
After they've had the test, the process, there's obviously the same as the VO2. It's not just there's your number, out you go.
No, so we run a couple of different consultations with the metabolic test. So we do just a standard metabolic test. Will be, you come in, you get your test, we'll go through your data, your results, and that's it. Okay. In terms of, there's no detailed application of applying it to nutrition, training, anything like that. We do an upgrade option, which is an hour long, which would include nutritional evaluation / application of data. Okay. So €65 for a 30-minute metabolic test and analysis, €95, which would include that kind of upgrade to nutritional and application. Yeah. If you want to do VO2 on the day, we do metabolic, then we do your VO2, then you eat, because you've come in starving. And we'll go through the data with you, and they complement each other really, really well.
Okay.
And then you have someone that comes in that wants nutrition on top of that. You have someone then, what happens a lot of times with people doing metabolic tests, we talk a bit about nutrition, all of a sudden you can see they're not sleeping, stress is off control, digestion's out of whack. So we can organise to do nutritional therapy then further down the line as a Zoom call. They don't have to come back, you know, that type of thing. So
this is not a promotional podcast. I don't do that. I only talk about things I genuinely believe in, and I'm delighted to have had you on. And thanks again. If anybody thinks that sounds like a lot of money for the testing and the follow-up, just think about the investment in yourself. Think about all the information you've just given for free, by the way. You've just given us all that information for free. And how much you could potentially change your life, and the monetary value that you're willing to invest in yourself and your health, and how much money you may have spent over the years on different things that might not necessarily be good for you. Now, look, I get it. I understand. I drink a few pints every now and again because I enjoy it. So I'm investing in my enjoyment there, not necessarily my health. So I'm not saying think about all the money you spent on pints and you could have spent that on VO2. But that number, the couple of €100 you're going to spend on that testing, and again, it's not promotion, I just believe this, could be the best value for money. And I'm not just talking about Health Matters. Like, obviously it's a fantastic service there. I'm talking about investing money in your health, investing time in your health, investing in your education is what is going to make the difference long term. So if that's €65, so I can run on a treadmill, I'll just go and I'll do the algorithm myself and invest the money or invest the time. If you don't have the money, invest the time. Listen to the podcast. Do something to move yourself closer to whatever it is you want to do. I'm not telling you what to do. Sean's not telling you what to do. But
I will if you get tested.
If you get tested, I'll definitely tell you what to do. But invest in yourself is the overriding message I'm hearing here. When you're talking about money and come and do the VO2 and do the metabolic testing and upgrade to the consultation, some people go, oh, geez.
No, and I don't do any hard selling on it. I give people the absolute option what they want to do.
Yeah.
You know, and it's completely up to them. Call me naive, call it wrong from a business perspective. I don't push anyone to do something that they don't want to do. I'm much happier to get people to come in and do what they want to do based off their own inquiry, rather than me saying, oh, you need this, you have to have that.
Yeah.
One of the things I never get my head around is people that give out about the price of a gym membership and they drop 200 quid on a Friday night, no bother. You know, and like, it's just...
It's cliche, but you're so right.
Yeah.
It's cliche, like you're so right.
It's about, again, looking at the finances, where they're going. Is it contributing to an illness or an ailment, or is it preventing it? Or, you know, and I hear it quite regularly, you know, in terms of the price of a gym membership, but for me, it's nothing. You could go 7 days a week for your mental health, physical health. You know, it doesn't cost a lot.
It's the smart money.
Very smart money.
Yeah.
And that's what hopefully the likes of what I can offer and any other person within the realm of what we are in the industry, not just me, but anyone else that has a qualification to educate you, seek their help. You know what I mean? Don't try. If you're not successful, reach out to people, pay them to do what they do in order for you to benefit from it. Yeah. It's not a waste. It's a
value proposition.
Yeah, it is. And it's an investment in your own health. But when you invest in your own health, you invest in the health of your partners, your children, you know, their children. You know, it's a knock-on effect for everyone. So look at the bigger picture.
What a great, loads of sound bites in this one's a great note to finish on. Seán Kinane, thank you very much for the second podcast.
No problem.
There'll be a third, don't worry, there'll be a third.
No
but I really appreciate your time, really appreciate the conversation, and I'll chat to you soon.
Yeah, look, if anyone wants to reach out.
Oh, sorry,
the website, My Health Matters, we're on all social media. They can be tagged on this.
Super.
Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. If anyone wants to reach out and ask me questions, if they don't think the testing is going to be for them and they want to know a bit more about it, by all means, give me a call. Yeah. There's no issue on it. And as I said to you, I never even mentioned it on the last one, but I can offer a discount coming through you. So anyone that listens to the Prymal Podcast, just make sure that you mentioned that you've listened to the podcast and we'll give you a discount on testing.
Yeah, an absolute. There's no excuses now. And full disclosure, I'm actually going to have my testing done with Seán as well. So if the numbers are good, I'll tell you what happened. But I'll update that as well. And I'll include all the links to find you and all that kind of stuff in your social as well. Because as I said, it's about engaging in this stuff long term. It's not about just, all right, I've heard Seán, he's great, and then forgetting about everything that you said.
One other thing, actually, just before we wrap up, to show you the way I think areas are evolving, we're actually affiliated with Irish Life Health now. So you're entitled to free testing if you have the right plans on Irish Life Health. So
this is what's going to change things.
Look into your plan, because look, at the end of the day, if we or they can make you healthier and happier, there's going to be the less issue or the less emphasis on claims and,
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. So, look, if you have Irish Life Health, look into your policy, metabolic and VO2 testing
Unreal.
and nutritional therapy.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah,
Yeah.
super. Seán, thanks a million.
It's been a pleasure, Dan. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Chat to you soon. And that's a wrap on another knowledge-filled whopper with the one and only Seán Kinane. Thank you, Seán. We're already looking forward to number 3. Ladies and gentlemen, this type of information is what I live for. It's pure value that we can use to better ourselves, improve our lives, become healthier and happier, and move closer to those goals that we all have. And I hope you all gain as much from these episodes as I do. As Seán mentioned, if anyone's interested in metabolic or VO2 testing, you can get in touch with him through any of the channels we have listed in the show notes over at www.prymal.ie/Seán Kinane. If you're enjoying the Prymal Podcast and you want more and more content like this in 2021, please do take 20 seconds to subscribe and head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review for the show. This helps even more people to find us and keeps the wheels turning in a major way. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Prymal Pro, PRYMALPRO, for all of the updates on new episodes, guests, and more interesting related content. As always, thank you so much for listening, and see you in the next one.